And welcome to my technology podcast. This is episode 17, recorded on April 24th, 2022. This time, sadly, not as part of a live stream, since my internet line has some issues at the moment, and I am actually also hoping that I can actually upload this episode for its regular scheduled release at 8:30 p.m. CEST. And yeah, so no live stream, no live discussions, no Q&As, and so on this time. And nevertheless, I want to stick to my schedule, and therefore we will have our topics of today, and perhaps we can wrap this episode up a bit more quickly than normal, but we will see how we go through this today and how everything goes. And I don't know what spontaneous takes I have on the topics that we will be discussing today. So yeah, if you want to get the show notes for today's episode, you can find them either linked down below in the video if you're watching the video version, or if you're listening to the podcast version, so the audio version. The show notes should be linked in the episode description. And if you just want to go there right away and don't want to dig around in the description, then just head over to my blog, bnonet.com. And this is this lovely website. So you can see there that I had to cancel the today's session. Therefore, sadly. Of course, since I'm still recording this, I have not the updated list on there. So yeah, that post will come after the recording. Nevertheless, we are going to talk about Google banning third-party call recording on the Play Store. And that is actually not true 100%. It's true in some ways. Then we have some VR news. The Pico Neo 3 Link is launching in Europe and in select countries. And it's basically a direct MetaQuest 2 competitor. And there are also rumors about a MetaQuest 2 Pro that is expected to launch this year. Then we have some updates in regarding to the EU law initiatives in regards to regulating big tech. Then there is an interesting update in regards to the smartphone market share. And we're closing off today's session with the news that Dell has developed its own custom DDR5 memory modules for use in their upcoming Alder Lake and probably Ryzen 7000 notebooks. So yeah, let's dive right in, I would say. And we start with the story on Engadget regarding the change in regards to Google Play policies. So you can, via the accessibility API from Android, you can basically tap into the audio from calls, and this allows basically recording the call. And that's what a lot of call recording apps are using. And actually, one complaint that I already heard in other media outlets was that this is bad for people with disabilities and so on. But as this article here already states, apps with core functionality intended to directly support people with disabilities are eligible to use the accessibility tool. So apps not eligible for this accessibility tool may not use the flag and must meet prominent disclosure and consent requirements. So you can still have apps that are targeting people with disabilities using these APIs, but basically these apps have to disclose this and make it clear why that is, have certain features for disabled people, and I have to say this is a good move. Of course, as I am I'm impaired myself, it's very important to me that people with disabilities do not lose functionality. That's very important, and that hearing the initial reporting that this would impact people with disabilities, that struck home a bit. But yeah, reading this, it's a bit different. So the policy is a bit more open when it comes to apps for targeting people with disabilities. So this is still fine, and in regards to privacy, call privacy, and so on, it's good, it's fine, and yeah. So this is taking in effect. Where did it say when it takes effect? Basically, on May 11th, it's already taking effect. So if you have an app on the Play Store that uses the accessibility API for call recording and you're not targeting disabled or impaired people, then you should check the requirements so that you can have the proper integration in your application, so you do not get blocked on the Play Store. Then yeah, we're getting to the Pico Neo 3 Link, which is also like the MetaQuest 2, a standalone headset, and it's a pretty interesting headset. Actually, the Pico Neo 3 Pro, which is basically the same headset, was already available in the business market, and Pico was more targeting also the Asian markets, and is now trying to get a foothold with the Pico Neo 3 Link in Western markets again, and they are basically now doing a test run with the headset in some select countries, and yeah, the headset allows PC VR via Wi-Fi 6 and also via cable, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's what is stated here. By the way, the article here is on Road to VR, and yeah, so this is, from what I've seen. I saw impressions of the headset earlier a few days ago, and it looked pretty good. Also, tracking wise, it's very, very comparable to the Quest 2, and a lot of titles that are also available on the Quest are also available here, because the chipset is very similar, and the store is pretty well filled already. And the Pico Neo 3 is available since April 15th in Germany, France, Spain, and the Netherlands. And It's priced at 450 euros, and compared to the Quest 2, that bit is a bit more. But you have to see when you see the picture here, it basically comes with the deluxe head strap that you have to buy separately for the Quest 2. And you also get right away the link cable that you need to connect the headset to a PC. Which also, if you buy this from Meta, is also another, I think, 80 euros. So it's a very expensive cable, and you get all this bundled up with this headset. So it's very comparable price wise, and for a lot of people, the major thing could be, yeah, it's not tied to a Facebook account, so, or a Meta account in general. So you're more independent with this headset, and yeah. And basically, pre-orders are open till May 23rd, so we have now April 24th. So if you're interested in the headset, you have about a month to get your pre-order in. And this is basically really a test run for them. And in June, there will be also a run for the headset in the UK. And yeah, so they were going to expand that, and the specs are actually pretty nice of the Pico Neo 3. 5.5 inch SFR TFT. So at 773 PPI and up to 90 hertz. It has a Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2, 6 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. So yeah, also basically, if you want to have an equivalent Quest 2, you would have to buy the higher storage option. Connection Wi-Fi 6, DisplayPort with a DP link cable. For room scale, 60 degree of freedom sensors, standard touch button layout, optically tracked controllers, and replaceable PU facepad with anti-fouling coating. So yeah, this is pretty interesting, and yeah, basically in the same episode we have basically directly Meta's answer to that, which is rumors that there might be a MetaQuest 2 Pro coming this year with higher resolution mini LED displays, pancake lenses, and yeah, arriving this year. This is also on Road to VR. And so yeah, and those displays will have basically a resolution of 2160 by 2160 per eye. So basically 5320 by 2160 in total. And yeah, well, of course, mini LED and the use of pancake lenses and instead of Fresnel lenses, that will improve, of course, a lot the visibility, because you have better black levels. You don't have the God rays anymore. So this could be a really, really awesome headset in regards to picture quality. And does it say more stuff here? But no rumors in regards to pricing yet. And yeah, they're also here talking about Apple's upcoming headset, which I'm still expecting that we will hear about that probably at WWDC in early June. So if you want to get into more details for the Quest 2 Pro, as I said, the link is in the in the show notes. And yeah, let's get into the EU regulatory updates. So, Mac Rumors, which this article is from, is got their hands on a draft version of the new, how's it called again? Digital Markets Act, so the DMA, which we discussed last episode as well. And are a lot of extensions coming. Like, for example, Apple is basically forced to open up also their browser engine on their devices. So at the moment, when you install a alternate web browser like Firefox or Chrome or Brave, they're all using Apple's WebKit in the background. And because that's a requirement by Apple in regards to privacy and so on and so forth. But of course, that's not nice because the browsers are actually developed in a different way, and perhaps you're even unable to get feature parity and so on and so forth. And allowing browser manufacturers to use their own engines is also, in my opinion, the right way to go. And so it's good that this is coming. And yeah, the main thing, of course, of the DMA is in regards to the App Store policies, opening up the App Store, allowing side loading and so on, which, as I discussed in earlier episodes, I'm not a fan of. Not on a phone. On an iPad, yes, all for it, because it's a tablet. And if a tablet gets compromised, it's not as bad as a deal as if a phone gets compromised. And that's something that the regulators here are not thinking about. A phone is a different story. If your phone for some reason gets compromised in a critical situation and you cannot call emergency services, people may die because of a screw up like that. And those regulators, they are basically in the end then responsible for that happening. A phone is a different thing. We have to talk about scopes of use. Yeah. A phone is still primarily a phone and not a computer. And everyone who says no, think about it. Think about yourself being in a situation where one of your loved ones, for example, you're going skiing and your loved one falls, breaks a leg, or even something worse happens, which we don't hope. Yeah, of course, I don't wish anything bad happening to someone, but shit happens. And then you're realizing, oh shit, I got a Trojan on my phone that locked me out. And that's more likely to happen if you allow sideloading on smartphones. And I have my issues with Apple's App Store policies and the whole process. But for me, it's still, especially for the phone, it's good that they are that strict and that this vetting is happening. And I cannot imagine that smaller companies who perhaps launch their own stores, that they can do it on the same level as Apple does. Or perhaps they can, but probably most won't because it's expensive. Because you have to have the automated checks, Plus, you have to have people who are checking those apps. And I know that because I also investigated stuff like that for my own reasons. And yeah, it's hard, and I understand why Apple is locking down the iPhone. And that's, in my opinion, because this is still primarily a phone, a communications device. Everything else are secondary additional functionalities, which are, yes, convenient, but they are not the core functionality of the device. And I am against everything that is making it more likely that this core functionality might break in a critical situation. So that's my take on this whole situation. So overall, these moves here are good, but there has to be put more thought into these regulations, because it is important that core functionality of a device in its intended scope of use is not compromised by opening it up. And this discussion, as far as I can see, is not happening. And this will cause issues for all of us down the road. On the other note, the sister act, the Digital Services Act, basically got its final form this week and is now handed to the European Commission and the European Parliament for ratification. And yeah, this regulates a lot of stuff, especially tracking, advertisement. So a lot of positive things in regards to privacy. This article here is from Engadget, and you will probably find articles about this all over the web because it's a major news. And yeah, so this will also be something that Facebook will not like. And yeah, we will see where this gets us. And yeah, overall, more privacy, more protection is good. But yeah, what they did not put in this act, which is important to note, is they basically left out basic rights again from this act, like free speech and yeah, also limiting tracking from governments and so on and so forth. So this is not like a I'm missing the word. So this is not like a new law of the internet which gives you all the rights that you would have as a freestanding person. And yeah, so this is sad that this is not going to this step, but also not surprising when you look at the world right now. So yeah, we will have to see how this is going to play out, but probably the ratification of this bill is now just a formality, and it will be coming. And we have similar laws already in Germany. A lot of this law is based on the equivalent German law, and yeah, so nothing new or not much new probably for us in Germany. Next topic is the changes in market share in the smartphone market worldwide throughout the last few years. This article is on Mac Rumors, and this is basically looking at the rise and fall of iOS and Android, and starting in July 2018 up to January of this year. And the trend is interesting. Basically, Android is losing market share. Basically, early this year, it dropped below 70%. I don't have the, so that those are the latest numbers that are represented here. And iOS basically at the end of last year basically was scratching at the 30% mark, and up from almost just 18%, and Android came from almost 78%. So it's interesting to see, especially since this is basically global data. And you must not forget, Android is, I don't know how many manufacturers worldwide are producing and selling Android devices. And there is only one Apple who is selling iOS devices. But what's important, I think, to note is iOS devices last longer. And therefore, when you basically check usage data, you will see that over time there will be more active iOS device, more and more and more active iOS devices, because people are continuing to handing them on because they're still valid and functioning. This is especially the case for iPads. I actually looked up yesterday because there was a story on 9to5Mac, I think. Let me quickly see if I can find that. I will add that to the show notes as well, because I am discussing this. Where was it? I think it was 9to5Mac. There we go. Nice. So, because I came across this article here talking about making an iPad your HomeKit hub in your home, in your house, in your apartment, whatever. And I found this a pretty neat idea, not only regarding the home hub thing, because, for example, I have HomePods in my home and they are acting as a home hub, but having a iPad for these kinds of information connected to the wall is a cool idea. And I wanted to check which iPads are actually still supporting the latest iOS, because you need iOS 15 for this to work. And I was astonished to get back to this article regarding the market share. The iPad Air 2, which is from 2014, it's 8 years old, and it still is supported with iOS 15. It will probably not with iOS 16, but with iOS 15 support, you bought this iPad 8 years ago and you can still use all the current features, including this home hub support. So if you have an iPad, perhaps with a broken battery, that is newer than the iPad Air 2, or if you have an iPad Air 2 with where that is the case, you can make it your smart home control terminal. Install it on the wall, like it's shown here in the article. That's the wrong one. This is the right one. And this is awesome because this keeps electronics away from a landfill. Of course, Apple is not the greatest in regards to repairability, but having the software lifespan actually makes it worth to repair these devices. And that's important. Yeah, of course, a normal PC, you can maintain it, and normally you can run the latest operating systems on that as well. If you're running Windows, or even if you have older machines, you install Linux and you're fine. But that's not easy doable with mobile devices, and having long-lasting OS support, of course, benefits the overall market share of the operating system in the long term. And that's, I think, what we are seeing here, because a lot of Android devices, they only have one or two they had 1 or 2 years of software support, and yeah, often they were also underpowered, so they also were not good to use anymore, and yeah, they were thrown away much faster, of course, leading to people buying new devices, but therefore the market share is not really growing, because you are replacing devices and not gaining devices at some point. And I think that's actually what we are seeing here. And our last topic of today is the news that Dell is creating custom DDR5 memory modules for upcoming laptops. This is on Tech Power Up, and those modules are a new design. They are not part of the current SODIMM standard. But I heard a good take on this, basically as part of the Linus Tech Tips WAN show yesterday, because SODIMM with its current specification is reaching its limits, and with DDR5 now, the base spec is still in the same range regarding as DDR4, but as DDR5 matures and also the platform matures, so the platforms that use DDR5 mature, the speeds will go up. And it might even be that already with DDR5 we are going to reach the limits of the SODIMM standard, and so a new standard would be needed. And so since also Dell is part of JEDEC, so the organization that creates the DIMM module standards, perhaps this is their first take on that, which could lead into a new standard. So must not be that this is a proprietary thing that will be a proprietary thing forever. So we have to see and wait what is coming out of that. And also Dell is also using new standards for GPU modules as well. So modularity in notebooks, great thing, awesome thing. And I think we have to hope that Dell puts in the effort to make these industry standards and not keep them as their own, which will, in the end, benefit us all. And yeah, That's basically all I have to say on that. We have to wait and see if Dell uses this for good or for bad. And yeah, that's it for today. These are all topics. And yeah, so the next episode will be on May 8th. And I hope that we will be able to do a live stream again. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, so I normally have a bit of a talk and discussion in the before the recording, and I'm also doing a Q&A after the topics. So if you're interested in interacting, or if you have topics that you want me to discuss outside of news topics, feel free to jump in. You can leave comments on my blog. You can DM me on Twitter, and you can also join my Discord. All the links you will find on my blog, bnonet.com. And yeah, the podcast itself is released on YouTube, on Odyssey, and via Spreaker on all the major podcasting platforms. So, and the release is always at 8:30 p.m. CST or CET in the wintertime. And yeah, thank you very much for watching and listening, and see you next time.